Hey guys, welcome back to Blind Shark Exotics. This is my Orange Dream het pied female who is just about ready to breed this year. Today we are going to talk about why are ball pythons so expensive, or why are some ball pythons so expensive. And I have quite a few Orange Dream and Orange Dream pied snakes in here, and I think these are probably the best way to show you guys why they're expensive and how they get expensive so quickly. So this female is just a Orange Dream het pied female. Now you can't really tell she's het pied. She doesn't have any like big markers. She sort of has like these little train tracks coming down her sides here, which is one way to tell that a snake is het pied, but it's not always present in pieds. And there are some other single genes that present that. But I believe she actually, when I bought her, I didn't buy her directly from Aussie, but I bought her from somebody who bought her from Aussie, so I think she's actually Aussie stock, so I trust that it's het pied. But other than that, she's just a single gene, Orange Dream. Now, Orange Dream works extremely well in pieds. If you haven't seen an Orange Dream pied or Super OD pied, I'll show you one a little later, and I'll explain to you why it's such an expensive snake. But by herself, if you bought her as a hatchling, I don't know, maybe she'd be $400 or $500. Because she's Orange Dream and because she has het pied, which means she's able to make pied offspring if she's paired with a male that's pied. Now, by herself, she's really nothing special to look at, but she does pack some pretty nice genes. Now, to get an Orange Dream het pied, you need to breed a Orange Dream pied to a normal, or breed an Orange Dream to a pied, and sometimes getting those recessive traits like pied into new genes like Orange Dream, back when Aussie first started breeding them together, can take a long time to do so. Because if you start with just an Orange Dream and you start with just a pied, a plain normal pied, I don't actually think I have any here to show you right now, and you breed them together and you get them both as hatchlings, that can take 3 years to get this snake. If you have just an Orange Dream hatchling and a pied hatchling, by the time one of the females up to size, which is 2 to 3 years, it's going to take you that long to breed them together, assuming they breed right away at that point. And then, when you get those offspring, and they're all going to be, half of them will be Orange Dream, half of them will probably be normal, all of them will be 100% het pied, you have to wait for those females to become adults, which will take 2 to 3 years, to be able to breed them back to those other offspring at your chance of getting Orange Dream pieds or Super OD pied snakes. So the process of getting new genes in your collection, raising them up for 3 years, breeding them together, and then taking another 3 years to try to get the end result of what you're looking to do, you're investing maybe 6 years or so into these snakes. That's 6 years of taking care of them, 6 years of paying the electric bill, 6 years of paying the heating bills, 6 years of feeding these snakes. So there's a lot of time and a lot of money investment in it. So whereas this snake as a baby would be maybe, let's say, $500, and a pied baby is $400 or $500, and your initial investment is $1,000, it takes you 3 to 6 years to really get anything out of those pairings. So that's why a lot of these genes, especially when they're recessive, and I'm not going to go into detail with what recessive or codominant genes are. Pied is recessive, Orange Dream is codominant. I actually have a bunch of videos for that, so check those out, explaining what codoms are and what recessives are. It takes a long time to breed to get the genes out of this thing. So, you're starting off with a snake that is, $500. And, at this point, now that she's close to being ready to breed females actually gain value as they get older because they're getting closer to the age in which they're ready to breed. So right now, this snake maybe sells for $1,000 or $1,500 at the size she's at. But what I can show you next is how you go from something as inexpensive as this $500 OD het pied to something as expensive as $7,000, $8,000, $10,000. So I'll be right back. Now this female, she was sold to me as an OD pied. I'm still on the fence about whether she is or not. She's a beautiful example of a pied snake in general. If she does prove out to be OD pied, and I'm hoping she is, she will make some awesome babies with the male I'm going to show you later today. But an OD pied snake, the hatchlings are typically over $1,000, and recently I've been seeing them go for $1,500. So where you take the snake I just showed you, the OD het pied snake, and you breed them back together, and at some point you're able to make an OD pied snake, you're going from a $500 snake to a $1,500 snake. But that's taking you 3 to 6 years to produce, and you are ending up with a snake like this. You are getting a beautiful pied snake that has some really nice highlights, some really nice orange color to it. And I have, let me pull out let's see, another female here. We'll pretend that it's a male. Actually, you know what? We'll pull out the previous snake, and I will show you kind of why snakes get expensive very, very fast. So, let's pretend one's a male, one's a female. Now we have an OD pied and an OD het pied. So, half of the babies that these produce should be pieds, half of them should be Orange Dream, and about 25% of them should come out super OD. So you have a 75% chance of them having at least a single OD gene, possibly two. And half of them should be pied. Now you're not guaranteed of those odds, just that's kind of the way the math is. You could end up with 1 pied out of this clutch, you could end up with 8 pieds out of this clutch. You could end up with no Orange Dreams in this clutch, and you can end up with 5 Orange Dreams out of this clutch. You're also not guaranteed that they breed together. But, so the odds combined with, the 3 to 6 years to breed these two together until they get eggs, and the odds of which the actual offspring they produce is another thing. Now, if these, lay eggs together and we get a super OD pied, that snake is probably worth $4,000 or $5,000 because they're not very easy to produce. They take forever to produce. You have to have great odds and you have to have great genetics to begin with. Now, that's only, a single gene in pied. Well, I guess 2 if you consider it super. It's a super OD pied. So you have 2 copies of Orange Dream and 2 copies of pied. So it's really a 4 gene snake, but you really only have 1 unique gene in there with the pied. Now you have a super OD pied with no other genes in it. If you want to produce something else, maybe you want to put Enchi in there, maybe you want to put Leopard in there, maybe you want to put some other gene in there. Now you have to take that super OD pied and breed it to something else that has more genes in there to kind of splice it all together to add more of a different look in there. And you are piling on all the genetics to make kind of like a powerhouse snake, which I will show you right now. Alright, so you spent almost close to a full decade in your breeding project. You have bred your OD to a pied. You got OD het pieds. Took you 3 years to do that. You bred those together and you got let's say an OD pied, a couple OD pieds. You bred those back together and you got a couple super OD pieds. At that point you acquire another female, and that female is Enchi, Leopard, Fire, something else pied, yellow belly, and you breed it to that super OD pied. And that female, so that female's even crazier, it has OD as well. You end up with this snake. This snake is a super Orange Dream, yellow belly, and I believe Enchi Leopard, if I remember correctly with the genetics, pied. Now this snake is cost you an absolute fortune. I bought it directly from Aussie as a hatchling. I think it was like a $7,500 snake. Now this snake is going to pass on Orange Dream and pied to every single snake that it produces. So with this snake, you really only want to breed it to other pied snakes, because if it's only producing OD pieds from all those snakes, you're pretty much guaranteed $1,000 to $1,500 for every single snake that this snake produces. But it took you almost 10 years and 3 different breedings and a couple purchases. Maybe you had to purchase a very expensive female to breed back into your collection to get to this point, because to produce a super orange dream pied, you need to have 2 snakes that have pied and 2 snakes that have orange dream in it. So just alone, those snakes, if you just had orange dream pieds, 2 of them, those snakes would cost you probably $3,000-$4,000 by themselves. Plus, you had to get leopard in here, you had to get enchi in here, you had to get yellow belly in here too. So you had to have that. One of the snakes had to have orange dream pied plus 3 or 4 other genes in it, even if the other snake was sort of plain, just being an OD pied. So these projects, especially when you're including the recessives, and most co-dominant projects that don't have recessives in them usually aren't very expensive because they're easier to produce. When you breed co-doms together, you can get the visual offspring in the first pairing, whereas usually when you're breeding recessives together, sometimes it takes a little longer to breed them, because if you only have 1 copy of pied, you can't see that it's pied. It's not visual. You need to have 2 copies of pied, meaning both parents need to carry the pied gene. So when you're dealing with recessives, it can take you the better part of a decade to actually get the desired offspring from it. Now, people like Ozzy and JKR, I mean, they've been doing this so long that they're so far into these projects that Ozzy's probably breeding Super OD pieds to other Super OD pieds that have a bunch of extra genes in them. So everything he's producing out of these clutches are Super OD pied plus 3 or 4 other genes. And, he's one of the few people doing that at this point, I think. And he has kind of the market in a chokehold on there, so he's able to kind of price them what he feels like pricing them for, because he's put decades of work into that. If you want that snake, if you want this powerhouse snake, you're going to pay for it. On the flip side, if you're looking at simple co-dominant genes, like you want a Mojave or you want a banana or coral glow, they are so easy to reproduce, and everybody's doing it, that it drives the price way down. Whereas you can probably buy a Mojave, I think I was selling them for maybe $75 to $100 last year. Bananas still go for a little more. I think maybe I was selling single gene bananas for $150 or $200 last year, because everybody's doing it. There are over 30,000 ball pythons on Morph Market right now. Last year, I believe when I started selling, I think there were like 10. So the market has tripled in size, and that's not because of people breeding Super OD pieds, it's because of people breeding Mojaves and bananas. So where the rarity of snakes like this is still really, really, really low, there are very few of them out there, the market is saturated with snakes that are easy to reproduce, like Mojaves and like bananas.